Why 2022 may be the worst year to be a wholesaler. We have just completed the first month of the year. How is your wholesaling business doing? What improvements have you made to your system, to your process in your wholesale real estate business? Let me know down below. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the negative connotations or the negative effects I see happening on the wholesaling industry this year and why this year may or may not be the best year to be a wholesaler. Now, to be frank, my overall perspective on wholesaling is positive. It's always a positive outlook for the industry. I do see it getting better, more people being able to make a living and create income for their family. But I kind of want to hit on different points that may hinder someone's progress in wholesaling. So before we go on, be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below if you have any questions. Now let's head right into the video. So why 2022 may be the worst year for wholesaling real estate. So number one, I have to talk about the regulation coming to the industry this year. Now on this channel, we talked about different places like Philadelphia, Atlanta, Texas, Illinois, Oklahoma, all these different cities and states that are affected by real estate agents or realtors trying to impose or start new regulations requiring people either a license to wholesale real estate or some sort of regulation around people doing assignment in their city or state. Now, this is a big concern. I do understand why there needs to be a little bit more regulation in the industry because you can't have like people just going around trying to advertise a property not the legal way, and also some wholesalers taking advantage of homeowners. So I do believe regulation is needed, but to what extent? And so this year we're going to see more and more states implementing some sort of regulation around wholesaling. So for example, in Texas, they have recently made or did a survey with a bunch of realtors asking them, their experience with working with a wholesaler in their state. Now, at the moment, Texas does not have any regulation, doesn't have any laws, doesn't have any licensing requirements in order to wholesale real estate. But by them implementing that survey, it speaks volume to where they are headed as a state in regards to wholesaling. In the state of Texas, you may see some sort of regulation coming soon to the industry. So the thing with regulation and why 2022 may be the worst year for it is that usually their first year of regulation is usually not the best. So when they first implement it, they're either like super strict or not super strict at all. And so you have to kind of navigate those waters. Another thing with regulation is that it can be a hindrance to some people moving forward because there are some fees associated with that a beginner wholesaler may not have. The other thing with regulation is that some people just don't have the time or the energy or may have some sort of disability, not letting them be able to take exams or to sit through some sort of class in order to be licensed. And it's just another step to get into the real estate game for people when this huge thing of real estate, wholesaling used to be like the easy way into it. But now since you're implementing new laws and regulations into wholesaling, that may just be another step into getting into real estate. In a good way, this can be a good thing to weed out all the bad people or the bad wholesalers and, who are lazy and don't take their job seriously. But at the same time, it can be a hindrance to beginner wholesalers. So that's the first reason I wanted to talk about why 2022 may be the worst year for wholesaling real estate is because the laws and regulations coming this year. The next reason I want to talk about why 2022 may be the worst year for wholesaler is because of big money. Now, when I say big money, I'm talking about big corporations, startups creating big wholesaling real estate companies, and a lot of them are tech driven. So on this channel, I talked about different services, different tech providers or startups that are getting into the wholesaling real estate game. One, for example, is called Sunday.com. They're essentially wholesaling, but they have a bunch of articles just bashing wholesalers saying, oh, they take advantage of people, they make this much money, they're not honest, and different things like that, when essentially they're doing the same exact thing. And so you have more of those startup companies coming up. But But other than that, there's other companies that I talked about on this channel that's trying to work with wholesalers that, hey, yes, we are a tech startup and we do want to work with you all. And we're doing the same exact thing you're doing. But I think with these companies, they really try to make it as big as they can, right? Usually when heavily funded tech companies come into the field, they usually take control of it and just disrupt the whole industry. So you may see more of that in 2022. I recently had another company come into our region, like the southeastern part of America. So like it covers Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, like these southern eastern states. And they came in to this city and they were already running like within a week or two because they had all their systems and processes in place. And a lot of more buyers are going to them because they know their process. They know everything is legal, everything is fair and everything like that. They may charge a little bit higher, but they get really good service as opposed to an individual investor just having their own wholesaling business, but it's not a corporation. So with big money, another reason why it may be a little bit more difficult in wholesaling real estate is that for beginners, when you come across an investor who has done flips and rental properties and they're looking for another deal, they're more likely to go to a respectable, bigger corporation that already knows the process, as opposed to a beginner who you kind of have to teach them some things like, hey, this is what happens. This is the title company. Sometimes investors don't want to waste their time doing that or like working with just one individual investor. Like with the company, they know for sure they're getting a good product, like I was saying before, at a good price and everything, all the paperwork is done and everything is just streamlined. So that may be another reason why 2022 may be the worst year for wholesaling real estate. Another reason why I want to talk about why 2022 may not be ideal for wholesalers is because of inflation. Inflation is still increasing. And so with that, prices are increasing with everything. So for example, if you take a beginner wholesaler who doesn't have disposable income and they have to decide, okay, should I spend $100 on groceries for the next 2 weeks or $100 on this data software plan, right? You know, obviously they're going to go to the food, and because food prices are increasing too. So at the same time, they have to pay for their necessities that are already increasing. They are asked to pay for different softwares and marketing dollars on their business. Prices may be a hindrance for people getting into this field because everything is more expensive. And with that, you have higher priced homes. And a lot of homeowners may be a little bit iffy having a beginner, value their house when, yes, last year or 2 years ago, it was probably worth $275, $300. They're okay working with a small time investor, but now that their house is worth $500,000, they want to go to a corporation. They want to go to someone who has been there, done that, and knows how to truly comp their properties. So inflation is definitely on the rise and may affect wholesaling this year. Like I said in the beginning, you all, my general outlook on wholesaling is positive. I think that even as a beginner, even those different things that I just stated that can or may happen this year in 2022, I think overall it can work out well for a beginner wholesaler. So now I'm going to go over again like the different reasons why it may be the worst year, but add a caveat to it why it may be the best year for you. So first, I talked about regulation, how it may be a hindrance for beginners getting into the field. But at the same time, a beginner can get their license. They can work a part-time job in order to pay for fees for courses or other things like that. And also they can work with other wholesalers. They can double close. There's different options. And at the current moment, this year, there's only about 5 to 7 cities or states that implement regulations on wholesaling. So I don't think 2022, 100% of all states will have regulation, but a little bit more. So there is a chance that your state this year may not be affected. Number two, I talked about big money coming to the field, especially startup tech companies. But with that, you can work with them. You can JV with them. They have different programs, partnerships that, hey, let's say you're beginning and you don't know how to find a cash buyer. You can go with them because they have like tens of thousands of cash buyers on their list. as even out-of-state investors that are going to pay so much more for a wholesale deal, as opposed to you going to an individual investor in your area. And so with inflation, yes, prices are higher, but with that, you can get larger assignment fees, so that can be a good thing. All right, you all, hope you all enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out the links down below for different resources like PropStream, where I find motivated sellers. Let me know how you all like that program, that software. Yeah, I hope you all have a great day. Talk to you all later. Peace.